Welcome to Beyond the Page, official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Gary Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest articles, have a chat with this brilliant author who wrote it, thank you, Janet, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you have a chance, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives. Remember, this is your go-to resource for all things coaching. And in the meantime, let's dive into this episode. In today's episode, I'm speaking with wellness coach Janet Stickmon, who is the author of an article in our latest issue, Coaching, Anti-Racism, and the Backlash Against DEI. Her article is entitled Molding Counter-Hegemonic Armor, the First Step on the Path to Joy and Liberation. A little bit about Janet. As I said, she's a wellness coach and a consultant, professor of ethnic studies, and author of Crushing Soft Rubies, a memoir, Midnight Peaches, 2 O'Clock Patience, a collection of poems, short stories, and essays on womanhood and the spirit, and To Black Parents Visiting Earth, Raising Black Children in the 21st Century. Awesome. She's the founder of Center Joy PWR, Strategies for Healing Racial Battle Fatigue, an online experience for professionals of color who want to heal their racial battle fatigue and center joy in their personal and professional lives. Janet, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Gary, for having me.
Normally I ask why you write an article, but with your background, it just made so much sense. It must have been this megaphone calling you saying, "Hey, Janet, Joyce wants you over here to write about all this counter-hegemonic conversation that you've learned and you're working with." But tell us more about this hegemony.
Well, yeah, it's I've been writing and thinking about counter-hegemonic work and racial battle fatigue for quite a while. I decided to write this article because I wanted to make sure that within the context of uh, coaching, whether it be life coaching, wellness coaching, executive coaching, that when working with clients of color, that there's a recognition that there are systems of oppression at work that interfere with one's ability to just simply engage in self-care. And oftentimes within various circles that want to address self-care, there is an elimination of that aspect of systems of oppression. They dive right into the self-care, which can be fine for most folks, but other folks are like, you know what, this isn't as easy as just simply zeroing in on my the work that I need to do as an individual. There's also this other factor when it comes to the workplace. What can workplaces do to ensure that their environments are psychologically safe
Mm.
for clients, for people of color, but also people of other marginalized groups? And so, yeah, about 5 years ago, I launched Center Joy Power. And at that time, its original name was Soul Care Power. And then I changed the name. But I wanted to make sure that I created a space for professionals of color that were trying to heal their racial battle fatigue, and also try to figure out how they can tap back into what brings them joy. And so
Thank you.
that's, I think, where the work began, at least creating space for others. My personal work started several years before that in terms of realizing that I was experiencing racial battle fatigue, figuring out that there was a name for what I was experiencing. I think that was the big thing. There was something really freeing about learning that there was a name for what I was experiencing mentally and physically. And I can always go into that later on.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, We're all glad you did, by the way, because we wouldn't have this great article to tell us all what this all means. Speaking of what this means, I think we kind of need to go back, and I'm going to read here what had I have worked on this word. Let me tell you,
No worries at all.
hegemony is the system of dominant norms, practices, values, ethics, and beliefs that reinforce the supremacy of and serve to privilege and benefit certain groups. Example, me, white, male, upper middle class, Christian, heterosexual. Okay, well, we don't get all of them. That's not me. Cisgender, able-bodied, while marginalizing other groups. And so counter-hegemony is basically the shield, as you put it, the armor that is needed or built or may be seen or not seen to protect you from racism and oppression. Do I have that right? Would you like to add to that?
Sure. No, that's perfect. Yeah, I really think of the counter hegemonic armor that we have to create as people of color if we want to navigate this world that has these multiple, systems of oppression overlaying, intersecting. Um, it's this. I hesitate to just simply say armor, that we have to build an armor, because there's a certain callousness that, that suggests. And though most certainly we cannot be naive, we have to be able to protect ourselves, be able to stand up for ourselves and defend our self-dignity. But while doing so, it's important to make sure that we feed ourselves all the things that bring us joy, that there's a certain softness to what it is that we engage in, so that we can sustain ourselves and feel alive, and feel as though we're glowing as we navigate this world where we will have to address the various blows that come with um, the different microaggressions, whether they are related to race, gender, class, sexuality, ability, etc.
Hmm. Wow. I'm wondering for myself. So I'm one of the, as I, jokingly but truthfully said, I'm a white man of privilege. I know that. Well, what advice would you have for me or guys like me or people like me to recognize the impact we're having or that there's armor between me and the person I'm coaching that might be BIPOC?
I think that it is important to add to whatever work you've already done with regards to awareness about any unconscious or conscious biases um, as it relates to race, gender, class, etc. Um, and as those rise to the level of consciousness, be able to then simply address how one what kind of impact that may have on the things we may say or do. And of course, this is something that uh, happens over a lifetime, with self-reflection. But I think that that really is the first step. And as that awareness is developing, there's a fine tuning of the level of care that one can provide for their client. And I think the work most certainly can be done. There are a number of allies within the different social categories that would be considered dominant within this country and throughout this world, that really have put in the work to be conscious of those biases, because they know that if they don't, that there can be an inadvertent way in which those biases can then um, cause harm to the person that they're working with. And oftentimes the last thing that they want to do is cause harm, so that they're going to end up doing the work.
Yeah.
Those who are really committed, they'll do the work and be like, okay, you know what, and have a certain level of humility. And I think that's the beautiful thing that I've witnessed amongst white allies and other allies that are within dominant groups that do this kind of work.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's a continuous learning, obviously, and so another one of our authors said it's not about cultural competency; it's about cultural humility. To your point,
Mhm.
right? It's just always being aware that I don't know sometimes if I've said something that'll offend someone. And I always say, if I do, please let me know.
Yeah.
It's not my intention ever to do that. And I'm a learning human being, learning, growing human being. So I'm like that too. Something else came up for me, and is having the armor a like we were talking earlier about the counter homogenic armor. Is it something that you help your clients build, or you help your clients dissolve, or like does it go away? Is it something you want to go away? Don't.
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that I help clients build. And the interesting part is, and I'll back up a bit. When I first started toying around with this idea of counter-hegemonic armor, it wasn't even in the coaching context. It
Mhm.
was within parenting. And yeah, as a mom, me being a biracial woman of Black and Filipino descent, my daughter being multiracial, four different backgrounds, and it became really important to make sure that she had all the tools to speak up for herself when, for instance, somebody touched her hair and thought she was cute and touched her hair. We need to give her that language. Um, and at the same time, also make sure that she never felt like she had to shrink anywhere, that she could continuously live and bloom and thrive and all those sorts of things. And so when thinking about it then within this context of coaching, when I developed the different healing frameworks for racial battle fatigue, initially I did not talk about strictly the idea of molding counter hegemonic armor. It really kind of evolved through the course of different talks. I'm like, you know what I'm doing basically is that.
Mm,
Um, and so to your question, I I don't see it as something to dissolve, but something to develop. Because again, there's this beautiful duality to creating this counter-hegemonic armor. There's the again, being able to develop a certain set of skills so you can properly um, take care of yourself. Let's say, for example, being able to set boundaries. If they're, when you're trying to name the racial battle fatigue in your life, what are the stressors? Where is ultimately that source of pain, that source of stress, chronic stress,
right.
and and really explore the possibilities of how one can distance themselves from some of those stressors so that they can have the time and space to be like, oh, wait, this is what's been happening. Why is it that now all of a sudden I can sleep? Because
Yeah.
I've zeroed in on that thing that was really keeping me up at night.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I see it as something to develop. And within this overarching, journey of developing one's counter hegemonic armor, there's the necessity of joy. That's really this the central part. How important it is to see a conscious integration of joy in one's life as essential.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing is that counter-hegemonic armor, in a sense, is not just a protective thing, it's also an awareness. It's
It's
like a place to say, oh, there's this between me and that person, or me and that group, or that group and me.
um so the armor is in the, so the armor is really for the client of color. It has a protective aspect, but also a rejuvenating aspect.
Wow.
You know that the real central part is the, what is one doing to make sure that they're nourished, make sure that they're filled, make sure that they're rejuvenated and not just simply drained. um, and so that becomes the real key aspect, while also recognizing, hey, there are these forces at work that have had their impact, their cumulative impact on my health, mental and physical and behavioral, that I do need to address. But as I address that, I am, there's a certain release as I'm
Mhm.
naming it, as I'm addressing it. I'm like,
Right.
okay, this isn't going to have this stranglehold on me all day, all night for the rest of my life, because there's a certain level of freedom and liberation that's available to me. And where is it? And how can I have access to it?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, very much. You mentioned a couple of things, so I'll let you choose the direction.
Okay.
Healing framework or centering joy?
Um, I'll talk about centering joy.
There we go. So tell us more
um,
about that. What is this practice of centering joy that's available?
Sure. I see the practice of centering joy as having two components, two main components. One, the basics of self-care, healthy eating, good sleep, physical activity, good hydration. Okay, and then a second component having to do with seeing joy as a vitamin, as a daily vitamin that one can consciously take. Joy vitamin, joy ritual that one can consciously integrate into their daily life, and not just simply wait for happy, fun things to fall into one's lap and then be like, oh, yeah, I'm having a great time. But really take control and say, you know what? This thing that I normally take great joy in, I haven't done it in a while. Let's bring that back into my life,
Mhm.
and then really take a look at how it makes you feel. And so this is something that I absolutely love about the process of centering joy in one's life. That it involves this conscious integration of joy as if it were a vitamin.
Mhm.
Um, and the source of this idea really was my primary care doctor. Uh,
Oh, wow.
I'd say around 2016. And though he didn't use it in those terms, I remember having to go to the ER. I was having chest pains, heart
Oh, no.
palpitations, a lot of stressful things going on at the time, and went to the doctor, or excuse me, went to the ER. They checked me in right away, took all these different tests, and luckily all the tests came out good. Everything was fine. And the doctor came, and I remember sitting on the edge of the bed. The doctor came, told me, I'm glad, he said all the results came out good. And I was happy that they came out good. And I told him that listen, doctor, I'm glad that everything came out the way it was supposed to. But, what do you attribute the chest pain to? Because I know that wasn't in my head.
Mhm.
And he looked at me and he said, So how's work? And I burst into tears, Gary.
Mm.
I burst into tears, and he just nodded, and he and I both knew in that moment what the reason was.
Wow.
Um, and it wasn't, I don't think it was 100% clear to me until that moment. And that particular doctor then hooked me up with a new primary care doctor, and we had a conversation a couple days later, and it was very, very nice, very casual. He's asking me about work, my personal life, my family. And then he asked me, he said, Janet, what do you do for fun? And I said,
Had to think
hmm.
about that one, eh?
I had to think about that one. And it was weird because I I didn't recognize myself when he asked me that question, because I thought, I'm a fun person. I do fun things. I'm always fun. But when he asked me explicitly, what do you do for fun? I did not have an answer. I did not have an answer. And that was another realization. And he said to me, he said, Janet, what I want you to do, your homework for this week is to
Their homework sounds like a coach session.
yeah, yeah. And he said your homework for this week is to have fun. And I never in my life had a doctor prescribed fun for me.
Yeah. Or be that insightful. Both of them, the ER doctor and the primary.
Yes, both of them. They were so insightful. And I love the fact they weren't so quick to just give me a pill and send me out the door. They're like, okay, no, we know that there's some other factors
Mm.
that are at work here, and we've seen this before. And I am forever grateful to the primary care doctor for prescribing fun for me. And and it really made me think differently about um, my relationship to fun, my relationship to leisure. And I must say, to his credit, he didn't just prescribe fun. He made sure I was connected with a therapist. He made sure I was had these
Wow.
resources, and made sure that there was a whole network of things that I was
What's
addressing.
wrong, Janet? He didn't trust you're going to go have fun.
I know, I know. Yeah, that he had those other things on deck to be my safety net.
There we go. Well, good on him. Good on
But
him.
what was funny is when I when I reconnected to the things that I knew brought me joy. Um, I noticed that I would put 100% into it.
Mm.
Kind of my the ambition that I had um, when it came to work. That was the kind of ambition that I had when
Yeah, it came to,
charged with the task of going out and having fun.
of course.
And it was so, I remember my daughter was in she was, I think, in a soccer class at the Y. And the parents decided to have a little, fun game right beforehand with the kids. But I mean, what folks always have to remind adults when we're working with kids: don't go 100%. Just go 50%, 60%. Well, I think I went around 80, 90%, and I wasn't the only parent. All of those parents, oh, sure, we're gonna get these kids, and I messed up my elbow that time, trying, trying to have fun,
Yeah,
fall back
okay.
on it. And
Yeah.
so it was a good reminder. And years later, I saw some of this in uh, 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 some work of colleagues, just the idea of and making sure that when we don't replicate the kinds of attitudes that we've developed within a work context. We don't replicate those sorts of things when we're trying to embrace joy, the
Mm.
fun, play, leisure. We don't have to go hard. This is the time to chill and
Yeah,
just
that's the word that's coming to mind. Yeah, chill.
yeah, just allow things to be. And I think oftentimes that can be one of the hardest things to do because you know, we're good at it. We're good at accomplishing the goal. And and that's important. That has
Yeah,
been um an important set of skills to develop that has got us this far. Um, the key thing is knowing when to dial it back a little bit and then add another set of tools that speak to initiating the relaxation response in our system so we're not always up here, that we can always be here.
right.
This bring things down to uh, a level of homeostasis, some balance between our
Hey,
sympathetic and our sympathetic nervous systems.
oh, good point. How are you doing on keeping joy and fun alive in your life? You seem very light, joyful already, so you're obviously doing something, or you're good at faking it. But
A
a
little bit of both. No, I'm just
little bit
fun.
of both.
No,
Fake
no.
it till you make it.
I mean, thank you. I really appreciate that. I have been investing a lot of time and energy in staying well. I think over the last I'd say the last few months, I've been able to return to a workout routine that
Good.
feels good. For many years, I've always been physically active. I'm a swimmer. I have done Muay Thai. I've done Kali. I've done all these different things, and Bikram yoga. But then a couple years ago, I tore the my plantar fascia in my right foot while
Ooh,
doing
ouch.
parkour, and that took a while to heal. And it's as I was recovering, I was still remaining active, but in ways that didn't didn't
Mm.
cause me to re-injure myself. But I'd say around last October, I returned to parkour, same coach. And then I also started working with a personal trainer because I didn't feel like I could restore my set of skills and my health and all these sorts of things. I didn't feel like I could do it alone.
Right.
Uh, I think what I noticed when I tried to do it on my own is that I was too hard on myself. And there was something beautiful
Going
about
80, 90, 100% again?
exactly, and I noticed, there was some self-talk there that was, that that was not helpful. Self-talk, I would never be so harsh with the clients I work with, the students I work with, my friends and family. And yet the unconscious,
Mhm.
language I was using to motivate myself was so, unhelpful.
Yeah,
And so I knew that I could lean on, these particular coaches to give me the guidance, just enough guidance. Not the I'm not big on the rah rah, you can do it. I don't
yeah,
need all that. But I needed the well informed guidance on how I can get from A to B
right,
and be physically be physically well on, as a bare minimum, but also feel alive. And I that's one of the things that I love about returning to parkour and then doing the resistance training with the personal trainer. So I think that has been a foundation. What else do I do for fun? Oh, I paint miniatures.
huh.
I love painting miniatures. That started also during the pandemic. There's a certain surrender that I feel when painting miniatures, but it also allows me to be creative.
Mm.
Um, and so it's fascinating how because I make sure that I take care of myself, that somehow then radiates when I'm working with my clients, because what would my words be worth if I'm telling them, hey, go
Yeah,
take
walking
joy
the talk.
vitamins, but I'm sitting here being miserable and you can hear the misery through my voice. No one will be convinced. No one will be convinced.
Oh, they can smell inauthenticity, those humans.
Those humans.
Oh, Janet,
Exactly.
I could talk about this all day, especially the joy part. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation and going
Oh, my
from,
pleasure.
it could have been a dark place to a very supportive and informative environment. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you. Thank you so
what would you
much.
like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation, other than find joy and have fun, obviously?
It's so funny because I mean, truly, that is the main thing that I would like, folks. I would like that to be the main takeaway. I can get into a little bit about the how, because sometimes when we say, you know, go out and have fun, sometimes people think, oh, okay, I know how to do that. But then once you get down to
Says
it, like,
she who
oh,
thought she did.
right, right. I think
Yeah,
that, yeah, the main thing that I'd love folks to take away from this is to treat joy as if it were a daily vitamin that you have to take, that it's essential to restoring your health and well-being and to feeling, completely alive and well. And when doing so, you know, um, take time to just sit quietly with oneself, and meditate on what is it that brings me joy,
right,
and allow those answers to bubble up, whether it's in the form of images, words, sensations. What comes up when we ask ourselves that question? And as the answers come forth, just zero in on one and say, you know what? That's what I'm going to do once a day. That's what I'm going to do once a week, and have a certain lightness, to that. So that's one thing I would like people to
yeah,
take away. One more, in my work, I talk about what it means to heal, but also move beyond healing.
mhm,
And I think of this continuing path, beyond healing, involving abundance and developing an abundance mindset.
right,
And I know that word gets tossed around quite a bit and can have a variety of meanings, but one working definition that I use when it comes to abundance is, from the work of Dr. Mario Martinez, The Mind Body Code. And he defines it as the amount of health, wealth, and love that you require to live a joyful life, a wellness life. And if that's something that folks can hold on to, this idea of abundance being that, what's the amount of health, wealth, and love you require to live a joyful life? And
right.
then again, allow those responses to come forth, and then move forward with what comes forth. I think that can put, all of us, on the right track in terms of being well and being in community with each other.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because and said it twice. I love that saying about what to look for and to measure and to know and to feel and all that. So thank you so much.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Gary.
No
This was so
problem.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for writing for us and being here today. What's the best way to reach you, Janet?
Folks can reach me either, they can find me on my website janetstickmon.com, or on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, at Janet Stickmon across all platforms.
And that's Stickman with an M-O-N.
That's correct. Yes.
She's not a stick man, she's a stick woman. No, that didn't work either. Oh well, we'll get the point across.
That's okay.
Again, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you
Stickman,
so much.
MON.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Have a wonderful day.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Page. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, the one that most likely brought you here. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine, you can sign up for free by clicking the QR code in the top right hand corner. If you're not watching and you're listening, go to choice-online.com and click the Sign Up Now button. I'm Gary Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery. Thanks again, Janet.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary.
Bye.